Hello and welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial I want to show you how you can set up a garage system. So when you hit play, you can drive forward to the garage. Then you can press enter. The garage is opening. Switch to the indoor camera. The car drives in and you can switch around your cars that you have with some details. And when you press enter again, you drive the new car. So let's go. So first of all, let's start up with some variables. So let's go into the garage itself. So we have this door here, this garage door. That's just a static mesh. And I prepared some other values for this. So we have a collision box where we trigger when the car arrives on the door. We have the collision box over here to stop the car when it's enter. And we have some text here. Yeah, you can do this as a HUD as well, but in this case I think it looks better when it's actually in the game. Pretty cool. So, and we have these two spheres, the indoor spawn and the outdoor spawn. So that's where we can change the car indoor and outdoor. So pretty easy, pretty simple. So first of all, let's set up some variables. So in this case, we need 3 in here. So first off is the active index. This is just an integer. The second one is the active car. So and this will be, of course, a reference to our AI car from the last tutorials. It's just an object reference. And the third one is just inside garage. And this is just a boolean to ask if it's already in or if it should be drive in. Great. So, and we go to our AI car from the last tutorials and we will set up some variables as well here. So the first one will be the name itself, and this is a text element. The second one is horsepower, and the third one is color. Just for example, you can choose whatever you want. And the fourth is the garage itself. So we need a reference to this. Oh. So the garage object reference, compile and save that. And now we go back to our garage and we need some functions inside here. So the first thing is I want to create a new function to make it more clearly. So the first function is the spawn itself, and the spawn gets an input value. This will be just the active index. And as well is this an integer like here. Compile and save. So the next thing we have to create is a game instance. A game instance is a global storage where you can keep up some variables that goes all over the game. So in this case, it will be your cars that you buy or that you whatever achieved. So let's go here and say blueprint class, and this will be just game instance like this. And the game instance will be just garage underscore instance. And be sure that you go under project settings, maps and modes, and select the game instance that you created. So open this up, and this is pretty simple. We just create one thing that is just cars. And the cars will be the wheeled vehicle class reference, and this will be an array. Compile and save this. So we can add up some examples right here. So in this case will be our AI car. And the second thing is the AI car child. So that's new. I show you what I created there. So when we go back here, we have our iCar from the last tutorials, and this is also an iCar, but it's different, as you can see. And the thing is, it's pretty easy. You just right click on this one and say create child blueprint class. And then you can change up some things, but it will always keep the functions and variables and components from the parent class. So that's pretty easy, and you can change something on the base car, and all child cars will have these functions, or you can switch it around. So we have done our game instance. So let's go back to our garage, because we want that we can switch around our cars here. So here we need an reference to the game instance. So we just say get game instance like this. And then we need cars to, in this case, our garage instance. Put this inside here. And then we take our active car, say get. And the first thing we want to do is destroy the actor, because we want to spawn a new one. And then we go from our garage instance and say get cars, like this. From the array we say get copy, like this one here, and then we can connect the active index to the index of the array, like that. And of course now we want to spawn actor from class, and the actor will be of course the index of the array. Then we can say split structure pin, like that. And then we take our indoor spawn that I showed you, put it out here, and say get world location, this one here, and we say get world rotation from the indoor spawn, like that. Then we can connect the location and the rotation, like this here. Great. So the last parts will be, we say cars to AI car. Then of course you want to set the active car like that. And at the end we say get player controller, and we want to possess this active car. So the target is the get player controller and the pawn is the active car. Compile and save this. So this will be our spawn function. So get our game instance, destroy the active car that's already there. Then it looks up which car has to spawn, set the locations, and then calls to it and poses the active car. So the next function will be the set text, so that we set up our display right here, which car that we has selected. Set garage, and this will be a reference to self, the garage itself, like this one here. And we take out our active car, and this will be the target. So the next thing is we take our name here, that's just a text render component, the horsepower and the color. And then we just say set text, like that. Copy and paste this for all these three components here, connect them like that. And of course we want to set the value. And the value is, of course, we go from the active column, say get name, get horsepower and get color. And then we just connect the values like that. Great, and the last thing is we want to switch up the camera. So we again say get player controller, like this one here. We take our indoor camera. We can take a look on the viewport that looks like that. So we go inside here, take the camera actor, say get owner, and then we go inside here and say set view target with blend, like that. So the get player is the target, the new view target is the owner of the camera. So the last thing I want to set is set show mouse cursor. Put this to true and connect the get player controller, of course, like that. So this is our set text function, and the last function I want to create is the leave garage function, of course. So we start up with, we set the inside garage to false, of course, because we leave it. Then we get our active car here. We take our outdoor spawn as well and say get world location, and as well the get world rotation. Then we go from active car and say set actor location and the set actor rotation. Connect this here like that. Then of course we put the location inside here and the rotation inside here. Then last thing is we go from the active car and say get chase camera like this. Get owner again, and of course set view target with blend. So we set the camera back to the car camera. And of course we need again get player controller as a target. And again here we can copy and paste if you want the show mouse cursor to false. And the last thing is we go from the active car and say set is AI to false. Compile and save this. So now we have our leave garage function, set text and spawn function. So let's go back to our event graph. So the first thing I want to create is the try enter function. So we take our trigger that's right before the garage door. We say begin overlap. And here we want to cars to AI car. Little side note, this also works for the child classes when you choose cars to AI car. Set active car. And we say set garage. And the garage is a reference to self. Like this here. Great. So this is the try enter. Great. The next thing I want to show is the change function where you can switch around the cars. So we say add custom event, and this is the next, and another one add custom event, and this is before, like here. So the first thing is again get game instance cars to our garage instance, connect this here. And what we want to do is we get the cars, and we just need one value. We want the length of the array so that we know how many cars we have given. So that is easy because then when it later changed up, it changed out with the function. But of course we have to do is integer minus integer, and we leave it to 1 because the length is not the index itself, so we have to do -1. So we need a branch right here. And the condition is pretty easy. We check up if the active index, get it here, is equal to this index here, like this one. So from here we go integer plus integer, leave it to 1. We go integer minus integer, leave it to 1, like this one here. Then we take our before here. We set the active index, of course, on false, like this one, +1. So we count it up. And from here, we do the same thing. We want to set the active index minus, but we only want to do it with another branch. And this branch will be, we go from the active index and say equal to integer and leave it to 0, because when it's under 0, you can't get any lower, of course. So on false, we want to set it. And in both cases, we want to take our spawn function here and set the active index with a new index, like that. So, and the last thing is, on both cases, we want to set the text, like this one. Great. So now we can switch around with the next and before function. The next function checks if the length is already equal to the active index, and then if it's not, then it set the next car. And on before, it checks if it's already 0. If it's not, then it spawns the next car. Great. So the next is we want to set up the actually enter function where we enter the garage. So again, we say add custom event, enter garage, let's call this. And we start up with, we take our skeleton mesh here and we want to play an animation. So play animation. And the animation will be, look up here, and this is the open animation. So let's take this, put it right here. Then we take our active car, say get. Then we want a delay. The delay will be, in my case, 6.67. That's exactly how long the animation takes. Then we go from the active car and say set is AI. Put this to true because it should be drive by itself into the garage. And then we just call the driving function like that. Great. And after this, we can connect it with our set text. Or if you want it more clearly, you can just do this one like that. So when we enter the garage, it plays the animation, waits until it's finished. Then the car drives by itself inside this and set the text for the active car. Great. Of course, we need the stop function as well, because otherwise the car will not stop. So we say details, we take our stop trigger, begin overlap. And on begin overlap, of course, we want to cast to our AI car. So then we take our boolean and we'll get it. And we need a branch right here, of course. And we need our stub function from our AI car. So on false, of course, we want to call the function. Then we set the inside garage boolean to true. And again, we want to play an animation. So let's copy and paste this down here. And in this case, we want, of course, the close animation. So put this inside here. And at the end, we want a little delay again of 6.67. Compile and save this. So the last thing we want to set up is we go back to our AI car. So let's create a new graph. This will be our garage graph, just for example. And the first thing, of course, we need our garage. Get it. Then we say is valid with a question mark. Put it up here. Copy this 2 times. Like that. And then we go from our garage and say get inside garage so that we get the boolean. And we need a branch here. Is valid goes to the branch on every condition like that. On true, we want to leave garage. On false, we want to enter the garage. Next. This is on true. And in this case, we want to say before. Again on true. So now we have to choose some input values. For example, I choose the enter input like this one. So on enter, he will check if the garage is valid, and then it looks up if the inside garage is true or false. On true, he will leave the garage. On false, he will enter the garage. So the next thing is, let's say on the D input, it will go to next, and on the A input, it goes before, like this one. So of course now we want to set up these variables. So we'll go to details and the car itself, and let's fill up these variables. So the name will be just sedan. Horsepower 150 and the color is wet, for example. Compile and save this. Then we go to our child class, open up the details as well, and change this to, I already changed this to SUV 150 and white. Great. So, and one thing left, we go back to our garage, so the leave car function, be sure that teleport is on true, otherwise it didn't work. So let's see if it works. We play, drive forward to the garage, press enter, so the garage is opening. When the animation is finished, it switches to the inside camera, the car is driving in, stops. When I press D, switch to the SUV, and A, I can switch it around. When I press enter again, I drive the SUV. Great. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you have any questions, please let me know, and yeah, goodbye.